This is a demonstration of the PTC perfect margin technique. This technique was developed using specific products and instruments. A number 8 round burr, the PTC WC1 wax carver, and the perfect margin dipping wax. First, trim the die with the number 8 round burr. This burr creates a 2 mm undercut below the margin. Second, after lubing the die, we'll dip it in the perfect margin dipping wax. There are many dipping techniques, but we feel this one gives the best results. Hold your hand vertically with the die 90 degrees to your palm. Position the die so that the highest part, or sharpest part of the die, is facing your palm. Support your hand on the dip pot and swipe the die in a curving motion so the wax flows around the die and through the V-shaped preparation. Dip the die to just below the margin. Now lower your hand and withdraw the die slowly. Stop just before the tip of the die leaves the wax. The wax will pull away from the tip of the die and leave only a small dot of excess wax. Next, we're going to trim the die just at or below the margin. Hold the half Hollenbach at 90 degrees to the margin as you're cutting. Trimming at 90-degree angle is essential to get the intended result. Cut all the way through the wax. Do not pull the wax, as it will stretch and distort the margin. You will now have a small ledge of wax right at the margin. Next, hold your electric waxer or wax spatula at approximately 45 degrees to the axial wall of the die. With the side of the wax tip touching the margin, flow the excess wax over the margin and into the undercut. We are creating a thin film of wax over the margin. This will lock the coping on the die and will stabilize the pattern when carving full contour crowns. You can proceed to place a lingual band or begin the rough wax up for a full contour crown. The key to the perfect margin technique is the next step. You will be using the hoe end of the WC1 and will be utilizing the edge of the carver, not the tip. Hold the carver in a fist grip like this, with the shaft of the carver facing away from you. This is necessary to place the cutting edge of the tip in the proper position. You can see that the 2 mm tip of the carver fits perfectly into the 2 mm undercut on the die. Press the tip of the carver firmly into the bottom of the undercut. Tilt the carver at approximately 45 degrees to the margin and carve toward you while slowly rotating the die away from you. You can see the trimming of the margin is very precise because of the stability of the carver in the undercut. Go around the die a couple of times to ensure you trim off any overhanging wax. Finally, dip a Q-tip in die lube or debubbleizer. Place the Q-tip firmly in the undercut and burnish around the margins a few times. Now remove the coping and under a microscope or loupes, check for any small overextensions. If there are any, simply remove them with your fingertip and recheck the margin on the die. With just a small amount of practice using this simple technique, you'll be able to produce precise margins. You can purchase any of the materials we've used here at the Blue Dolphin Products website, www.bdpdental.com. This technique and more is covered in detail in our 4-day hands-on waxing course. Please visit the PTC website at www.ptcdental.com for more of our training materials and course dates.